uh, let's let's make it simple for both of us, shall we?
Okay.
Right. So let me just give a little introduction here. So this is Lou Martin, and I'm a channel and a student of consciousness. And I had this lovely connection with my new friend here, Kira. This morning, she was good enough to call me from the UK, or we connected from the UK. And Kira and I had just this incredible conversation. She's an amazing light worker and healer and activator of change. We both had a Kundalini awakening at the age of 30, and we have a lot of other things in common. We're both Virgos and all that. But Kira has a lot to teach me and to share with me and with the world. So I'm just thrilled to get to chat with her again. How's that sound?
Great.
Yeah. So what would you like to talk about? You can pick the topic.
Well, there's just so much really, Lou. I mean, they always say start at the beginning, but I don't think there is a beginning, just as there isn't an end, really.
Right.
People often say to me, well, when did you awaken? Or when did your awakening happen? But I always say, unlike Neo in the Matrix,
Right.
I didn't need to take a pill to
Right.
wake up.
Right. You.
I rather felt that I landed here already awake, to some degree anyway, Lou.
Yeah. Yeah. Clearly.
Since I think I told you earlier about my first experience as a toddler, before 2 years of age, being made aware of the oneness of all life. And then there are other things, other experiences from my early childhood when I was able to hear my higher self.
Right.
From even the age of 5, 6.
Amazing. Yeah.
So, that was always relevant to me. That was a voice that I've always followed. I've always followed my inner visions. Visions have been very powerful for me.
Mm-hmm.
I tend to have those when I'm in a lucid state, which is usually probably around 5 in the morning onwards, depending on what time I arise.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I really get visions, quite powerful visions.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always followed those, and they've always worked for me.
Right.
Even to the most minutest detail. Even when it comes to buying a house,
Right.
Even that was through a vision.
Right.
I was given the house that I'm in now, which actually, Lou,
Yeah.
I've only just discovered a few months ago that my house actually sits on 3 dragon lines.
Wow.
An intersection of 3 dragon lines, one of which is the Stonehenge one.
Wow. That's obviously amazing. That's incredible. I mean, sweetie, I feel like you're really, you're already up the next rung of evolution. Don't you? And I feel like that's with my work with Lazarus and other teachers, connecting with the higher self and becoming more integrated with the higher self has been basically the number one focus for a lot of that work. How can you talk more about your connection to your higher self and all of that?
Oh, yes, you're right that we have to integrate our higher self aspects. This is really what it's all about, isn't it?
Yeah.
Once we draw down or download our higher self aspects into this reality, through this vehicle, then that achieves the unity that we're really looking for and achieves our massive shift in evolutionary consciousness, an expansion of consciousness. So that's really, my work is really about helping or assisting humanity to do just that.
Yeah. Honestly, while you're talking, my whole head is being lit up at the moment here. I'm feeling a lot of energy, while you're talking, which is great. Yeah.
But all the tools that are coming through are all really designed to that purpose, to connect us with our other aspects.
Right.
To bring those through, integrate them within this reality.
Right. One question I get.
Vehicle.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you. One question I get from a lot of students and clients, whatnot, is how to know if it's your higher self or your ego.
Now, there's a lot spoken about ego. In fact, only this morning, I read something on the internet where someone was talking about dissolving the ego.
Right.
I have a different take on that.
Yeah,
So,
please talk about that.
people have a negative connotation about ego.
Right.
They see it as the downward spiral, the subconscious, all the negative, quote negative, shall I say, because that's only a judgment, isn't it?
Sure.
Yeah, humanity has, unfortunately, adopted a judgmental attitude about things. Anything that doesn't feel comfortable, that's evil or wrong or bad, negative.
Mm-hmm.
It is what it is.
Sure.
Maybe it's there as a growth tool.
Yeah, I agree. Don't you feel we need the ego as long as we're in the physical? It's learning how to heal the negative ego or the fearful ego.
I see the ego as a point of attraction.
Right.
A focal point, because if we don't have an ego, there's no focal point.
Yeah.
And we have to be focused into this hologram.
Right. Right.
Into the human hologram. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here.
Sure. So
the ego is absolutely essential.
Yeah.
But I use ego, capital E, as in the focus of the divine self,
right.
rather than little s.
Right.
Self.
Right. So how do you perceive and experience the higher self in relationship to that?
How do I personally, or how does humanity?
Yes. When you said you were connecting with your higher self at the age of 5, how do people who don't have that experience or that awareness, how do we help them to perceive how that's what that is and what that feels like?
It's difficult to put it into words.
Sure.
It is really a state of evolution.
Right.
Clearly, it's something I came in with, Lou.
Yeah.
And it's something that a lot of people are working towards.
Sure.
Obviously.
Sure.
I would say that, in fact, in my higher self-to-self videos, right, I have some higher self-to-self videos on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
This question is actually addressed on at least one of those, on following the voice, the inner voice.
Okay.
And the more you follow that, if you want to call it intuition, guidance, gut feeling, whatever, the more you follow it and act upon it, the stronger it gets.
Yeah.
Because obviously you are, in a way, supporting it. You're saying, yes, I'm hearing, I'm listening, and I'm going to act on it. And it gets stronger.
Yes.
And then the guidance comes very easily.
Right. Yes. I agree. That's my experience too. My guides say, listen to, trust, and follow.
Exactly.
Your loving inner guidance. So it's that loving voice within us. It's that nurturing, encouraging.
It starts off, Eastern religions say it's the still small voice.
Right.
You've probably heard that
expression. Sure.
That's how it will start off.
Right.
When I was going through my meditative stage, when I was in my teens, I used to meditate a lot.
Right.
And in effect, I was probably a Brahmin at the time. I used to listen to Brahmanism ideas, and actually I used to listen to an LP at the time by a group called Quintessence, and they had a fantastic track called Brahman on that, and I used to listen to that and meditate to that, and I was well away.
Wow. Okay. Good.
So
I was rocking out to the Beatles. That was where my head was at.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I thought it very enlightened as well.
Different folks, Lou.
Yeah, sure. It did the job for me. I promise you. I was away with that. Yeah. Brilliant.
But, even at that stage, what was quite bizarre is the words of the track Brahman are telling us that we're the divine thought, the thought of Brahman. In other words, we are a thought. And I used to think to myself, how can we be a thought? That means if Brahman or God changes its mind, we disappear. And I used to have endless ruminations about this. How on earth is that possible, that we could be a thought? Of course, I didn't at the time realise that thoughts are things.
Right.
That there are energetics.
Right. And thank God, God never changes her mind about us. Their mind, his mind, yeah.
But, the still small voice is what we hear. At the time, I was reading a book by Yogi Ramacharaka, Advanced Hindu Philosophy.
Okay.
And in that, there are quotes from a little book called Light on the Path.
Yes. I've heard of that.
Yeah. And it says in that obviously the voice starts off very small, and then obviously it gets louder and louder.
Yeah.
Quite bizarrely, though, when I was 5 or 6 years old, and my experience, which I think I've even put on my website,
Right.
that I was sitting on in the garden again, because I love nature.
Yeah.
It was a back garden this time,
Mm-hmm.
sitting on the path, and I spotted a moth sitting on the path in the front of me, and I went to stroke it, and instantly it dissolved into ash, just completely disintegrated in front of my eyes.
Wow.
And flew away, and simultaneously this loud booming voice of my higher self shouted, "We are not like that, we are great."
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
That's extraordinary.
That has always stayed with me, Lou. That was such a powerful experience to be told that at that age.
Sure. Sure. Yeah. Well, Kira, my dear friend, I mean, my God, you're such a blessing to be able to share all this wisdom and this clarity and these energies. Can you talk a little bit about your light work, your activation work, your energy work, the DNA and all of that?
Yeah, well, I think I told you earlier, the work I'm doing now began February 2010, when one morning I was visited by an Elohim and a member of the High Council who announced themselves Ishtar.
Right.
And this may have something to bearing on this, Lou, that not long before that, I did actually read my friend's book, What is Light Body?
Okay.
I don't know whether you've ever read that.
No.
It's a very good little booklet.
It's a woman.
It's a good little book.
Yes.
About the different light body levels, and in the back of that, it mentions invocations to the Elohim. And you've got the Elohim of all the different coloured rays, cosmic rays. So for some unknown reason, I was guided to the Elohim of the white ray and the silver ray. Well, of course, the silver ray is Grace Elohim. It's more of a feminine energy.
Okay. Okay.
So I rather feel that, they always say, be careful what you ask for.
Right.
So I think that I may have stirred something up. Obviously, it was meant to be, and they thought, oh, well, she's open to this, we'll give her some codes.
Right.
One morning I was awake, about to get up, and suddenly their energies came into my energy field, really quite weird feeling.
Right.
And I was zapped with light, because light is energy and information,
Yes.
through my third eye as I was lying there.
Right.
And I could see a string of codes. I saw the letters S for Sierra, T for Tango, and then followed by a whole string of numbers.
Right.
And it was in my head so strongly, and I couldn't get it out. I thought, that's strange, what's that?
Right.
So I think I jotted it down on a piece of paper at the side of the bed, wondering what it was, and didn't think too much about that. Just wondered who Ishtar was as well, of the High Council.
Right.
Then I got up, went about my usual business, and then I was shown at a later date how to actually give an activation in person with someone.
Right.
And I was shown to invite this etheric crystal, the silver star crystal, into my hand, place it over a person's third eye, and place my other hand at the back of the head, the person's head, around, covering the Alta Major chakra, which is the sort of entry point of consciousness,
Sure.
if you will.
Yes, the gateway. Speaking of gateways, yeah.
Gateway?
Yeah. We were talking about that last time.
We might get to that later.
Yeah, well, I hope so. As I said, that word popped into me last night, so.
And that's when I told you about my experience with my friend who was suicidal. That's how I used the energy on her.
Yes.
And shifted her instantly into a very, very elevated state of consciousness and joy and bliss. But,
beautiful. Beautiful.
So then I realised, obviously, that it could be sent remotely. So again, I enlisted the help of a friend in Essex, and who I'd never met, and sent her that as well remotely. And as I said to you, she felt she'd been plugged into the national grid for 10 minutes while I was transmitting it.
Yeah, yeah.
So that was sort of the beginning of this work. And I set up a website at the time, well, not long afterwards, Atlantean Activations, because I was told that they were bringing back Atlantis,
right.
but in a higher form or a higher aspect. Because don't forget, Lou, there are so many different realities.
Yes.
There is an Atlantis that didn't fall to the dark, you know.
Yeah, Lazarus has told us that, actually.
Well, you see, this is the Atlantis I connect with.
Right.
The Atlantis that never fell.
Right, right.
So I was shown a sort of stargate, and that when the codes are locked in, it will activate our light body. So that was the work that I was intended to do, I was meant to do. So I started offering Atlantean activations, which were in effect a silver star energy,
right.
which I did say was originally a 7th dimensional frequency, which now is more or less a 9th dimensional since it's been upgraded.
Okay.
But even at the time, in 2007, a 7th dimensional frequency was a very powerful energy, given that we weren't even really aligned with the 5th.
God, yes. Believe me, I mean, it takes my breath away. So talk a little bit about your perception of ascension and, connecting to these different dimensional energies, how you see that.
My perception of overall ascension, or...
Yes, I mean, if for people who this is brand new to them, what is ascension? How do we navigate these dimensional shifts? What's on the horizon? Some of those topics.
Well, I would say the ascension is, well, it's a descension as well. It's not, a lot of people use the word ascension as if it's something really highfalutin and somewhere up there, which is out of reach. But it's really a descension because we're drawing down or bringing down our higher self aspects and the higher frequencies into this reality, as well as we're lifting ourselves up to meet that.
Right.
I mean, so that, in a way, is represented by that visualization I briefly mentioned earlier, where you visualize 2 triangles, one pointing downwards, one pointing upwards, visualize them merging, and then you turn them 180 degrees.
Right.
But when I practiced that actually triggered my light body.
That's
activation.
Well, we know that as the Merkaba quite often.
Yeah.
Merkaba,
yeah. But the ascension is just about moving to crystalline consciousness, because we have to get, the major hurdle for humanity is to get to 5D, crystalline consciousness. Once we get there, we have access, because there's no such thing as linear time and space. Once we're in the 3D reality, we have access to any other dimension. We have access to tenths, eighths. So we don't necessarily have to progress through the dimensions. People tend to look in terms of linear thought on the Earth plane. They think, oh, well, you've got to get to 5th, then to 6th, then to 7th. Well, that doesn't happen. You get to 5th, and then you have access to all other dimensions. So a soul can get to 5th and then access, say, the 9th dimensional self, and then it could think, oh, right, well, I'll choose to drop back to a 6th dimensional self for whatever reason, whatever the soul chooses that is necessary for that person's evolution.
Right, brilliant. So we were talking about Dolores Cannon, and I was mentioning Lazarus talking about the New Earth. What's your sense of how the New Earth fits into these dimensional shifts? Do you have a sense of that?
The New Earth is obviously going to be, it's going to be a wonderful experience. I was actually taken, Lou, to forwards in time
Right.
to the third millennium.
Okay.
This would be probably about 2 years ago,
Right.
unexpectedly.
Okay.
And I have to tell you, Lou,
Yeah.
I was absolutely blown over.
Yeah.
I was.
Please give us the good news.
I was so emotional in a joyful way,
Yeah.
and so proud of what humanity had achieved.
Wow.
Now, obviously, that was a reality or a time frame
Right.
that I was shown based on where we'd got to
Yeah.
2 years ago. So you imagine that all the progress we've made in the last 2 years,
Yeah.
heaven knows where, if they gave me that projection now for the third millennium, it could be something even more wonderful.
Sure. Ken Carey had a book that he channeled. I liked him quite well. Starseed, the Third Millennium. Which was, you reminded me of that. It's wonderful. I mean, Kira, you really are from the future, with the connection that you have here with the star beings and the Elohim and your higher self and all of that.
You spot on there, Lou. I definitely am from the future.
Well, tell us more about our lovely future. Give us more to motivate us, can you? To get through the muck and the mire here sometimes,
Well, life is considerably different to what it is here,
Right.
or has been here.
Right.
It is very harmonious.
Yes.
There aren't the struggles and the resistances that we get here, that we've had here on this plane.
Right.
When I landed here, I thought I'd landed in the Twilight Zone because it just seemed so completely unreal, and the idea of social order and pecking order, and how people have to knock 7 bells out of each other before they can get their respect.
That's one I never heard before. That's a turn of the phrase I never heard. That's a good one. Yeah. Okay.
This is something that I witnessed as a child.
Right.
I even was put through the experience in the junior school playground where this young lad kept pushing me and hitting me, pushing me over.
Yeah.
Now, bearing in mind I was born in the year of the dragon again.
Okay.
So I carry dragon energy.
Right.
Significantly.
Right. Yes. I hear you.
This young boy thought he was going to amuse himself.
Right.
And you see, I've always been a very tolerant person, and I couldn't understand why on earth would that boy behave like that.
Yeah.
But sooner or later, the worm turns.
Yes, of course. Yes.
And one day he hit me, and he just, unfortunately, I just turned round, swung at him, and knocked him flying.
Yeah.
And he landed on his back, absolutely furious.
Yeah.
You know what, Lou? He never touched me again. And
Well,
I thought, this is so archaic, so primitive.
Sure.
But why am I on this planet? Why do people behave like this?
Yes. Bless you, darling. I have to tell you, I deeply relate. I've felt like a stranger in a strange land my entire life, like you and I were talking about earlier. That sense of mission, and there's something here that I haven't quite figured out, but there's help to help me get there. Yeah, it's a wild journey, isn't it?
But I have to say, this doesn't happen in the higher dimensions, most definitely
Right.
not. They are set up for harmony. Everything is set up for harmony.
Yeah.
You may have heard that there is a sort of filter grid system between the dimensions, which will only allow souls of a certain
vibration.
Yeah, to pass through.
Yes.
It's like a sieve mechanism. So the finer the body, the etheric body, then the higher you go, if you like, as an analogy.
Yeah.
And so you can only ever really connect with and meet up at that level with souls that are vibrating at the same similar frequency to you.
Sure.
You would never come across anyone who wants to do you any harm.
Right.
If you're a sort of soul like we are, you wouldn't meet that, Lou. Unless you would choose, for some reason, maybe a karmic reason, to visit someone on a less slower frequency or a lower dimensional plane, then of course that's your choice, our choice.
Sure. Well, yeah, no, I hear you. It makes perfect sense, and you know, the sense that I have here, my dear friend, is that the emotional healing and awakening and purification that we're you know, beginning to enter into. I keep getting the message the next 3 years, you know, from now to 2020 is going to be extremely, even much more intense than anything we've experienced up until now. Do you get that sense?
Yes, definitely. Well, we've just had a period of great intensity. I think what Patricia Cota-Robles said in the first 11 days of November were very, very powerful and very intense.
Yes.
And I have to agree, I found that to be the case myself.
Yeah, I'm so glad you bring her up. She's one that I follow faithfully and work with her videos and her channelings. And yeah, of course, we had that tremendous period there of the 2 months after the solar eclipse, where we had like a dozen different planetary events of releasing fear, basically. You know, earth changes and shootings and all these kinds of things, which were very powerful, I think. But now it's quieted down again for a bit.
Yes, there's been no real talk from Korea and
right.
and President Trump.
Right.
And, you know, the testosterone that's going on there. I've got a bigger one than yours.
Right, exactly. Yes. Really enlightened. Yeah, thanks, guys. Yeah. Well, so you brought up Patricia, the other name I wanted to mention to you, because you and I chatted earlier about the Law of One and Ra and Carla Ruckert. And David Wilcock has been on the Gaia. I don't know if you watch Gaia.com. It's quite a good resource for me for a lot of this stuff. And Wilcock has been talking about what the Law of One calls the harvest. And this is that energetic gateway that you were mentioning that we're all moving towards in the ascension process. Did you want to touch?
I haven't actually seen that, but it's funny you should mention the harvest, because I've always said I'm here for the harvest.
Well, there you go.
Harvesting of souls.
Yeah, I mean, this is honestly, I just heard this, Kira, myself recently over the last, since the eclipse was extremely powerful for me. I sat here and did a meditation for like 90 minutes with my group, and I was out of my mind after the meditation. I was floating on air. I'm not sure where I was, but I was definitely in a deep altered state for a while afterwards. And then we had these dozen events, and then it's quieted down. But in like just connecting here with you, my dear, Wilcock's been talking about Law of One, the harvest, and that this is the event that happens every 25,000 years, according to their channeling.
I mean, both you and I have actually incarnated into a harvest period, haven't we?
Yeah.
September.
Yes. Well, there's that. There's the Virgo thing, which is the divine feminine. Yeah, and of being of divine service and looking for that. What is it? The pursuit of excellence. I think excellence is the word there with Virgos.
I mean, I think it's important to get as many souls as possible to upgrade their energy matrix, Lou.
Yeah.
Because, you know, people spend a lot of money on their computers with new operating systems, upgrading their computers, but
I know I do.
They don't seem to realise that their own individual selves are computers and they need to be upgraded.
Well, exactly. And again, that's why, I mean, when I channel myself, you know, when I channel the higher self energy that I've been working with for like 25 years now, since May of 1992 when I got activated, it's always, you know, joyous, loving, wise, kind. You know, you were giving me that compliment earlier, and a lot of it has to do with, you know, being able to sit in this love and light over and over again. Do you find that as well? It's so healing?
Well, the most important thing, which I also experienced when I was channeling the Book of Life, is to love yourself.
Of course.
And you know, even from that time of 1982 when I had the Kundalini, which actually, Lou, I was told that it was more than just a release. It was almost like a complete cleansing of the Kundalini, apparently. But I was left in a state of bliss, unable to have any depression.
Right.
I haven't suffered depression since that time, 35 years.
Well, that's how we know you're from the future, my dear.
Now, before that, as I explained earlier, my journey was one of a great deal of emotional pain,
Yeah.
and I was what psychologists would term cyclothymic, up 1 minute, down the next.
Sure.
And I used to read people saying, oh, well, you have to experience the lows before you can experience the highs. And I was fed that nonsense. That's a really negative program to
Yes.
believe that.
Yes.
That's not true.
Sure.
Not at all true.
Sure.
And since the Kundalini, I've had this real even level of. It's been beautiful. I would not ever go back to the way I was before.
Right. Right.
And whatever I've had to go through to get to that point,
Yeah.
I would gladly go through it again
Yeah.
if it was the only way to get to where I was going.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
In a heartbeat.
Sure. No, honestly, I deeply relate to all of this. That is the third dimensional belief system, that you can't have love without fear or joy without sorrow, etc., etc. And as you said, the beings of light and the higher self, these are the angelic energies that are available, to everyone. To let go of that fear-based, limited belief system. And this is, of course, a lot of what Abraham is helping people to understand, as we were saying as well. Yeah.
I just think that we've got to the point in our evolution, we don't need to learn through pain and suffering.
Right.
That's the old paradigm.
Right.
We can learn through joy and love.
Right. Well, you're absolutely right, my dear sister. I mean, you're I can't tell you again. You're such a bright light and a joy and an inspiration. I feel like on that very topic, for me, because I still do go up and down. But the truth of it is, if I meditate, if I pray and affirm, if I, again, sit in that higher self, love and light energy, that's, of course, what helps me to let go of those struggles.
Yeah, that's good. But alternatively, you could also have a Silver Star Merkaba.
I'm ready.
I don't mean to be selling my products now.
No. I'm quite ready over here. I think you've.
As I explained about the Silver Star energy, it just shifts you instantly.
Yeah.
Well, I actually do put it into a Merkaba crystal and sell it.
Right.
Because it's helpful. I mean, if anybody instantly gets a negative feeling or negative emotion or experience, then we don't need to process and regurgitate that experience and take it to bits, dissect it, analyse it. That's old energy, that is.
Sure.
Just take the Silver Star energy, use that, let it shift you instantly out of that energy, that old negative energy, and that's it, job done. I mean, I'm not saying that at some point, once you put it down and you've gone away, and then at some point in the future you might get an experience where you are emotionally fraught and want to use it again, and that may happen.
Sure.
But ultimately, these energies will infuse themselves into our energy matrix or on a permanent basis, and then we are living in this continually elated, blissful state.
Brilliant.
I mean, after I had that, I didn't have access to the Silver Star energy then, but after the Kundalini experience I had, I was in love with life continually.
Yeah.
Nothing ever got me down, Lou, at all.
Yeah.
And I used to have people come to me for hypnotherapy, and they would say, "Oh dear, I hope I haven't depressed you with all my problems." And I'd say, "No, straight over the head."
Right. Yeah. Well, honestly, I relate. Whenever I channel, people think that it's draining. They say, "Well, you must be tired," because I've had this higher energy of love and light and wisdom pouring through me for 30 minutes, 60 minutes, and as you know, it's exhilarating, when you get to be the channel of that love and light. Yeah.
This is the thing, Luke.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, go on.
The most important thing is when we are working in this way is that we do give out from our divine self, our divine centre of peace and love, not from our human self, because that's what drains us.
Sure. No, I quite agree. That's why I'm not drained when I channel, because it's not me. I'm very conscious that it's more than my normal state of awareness. Believe me, it's like being at the top. Yes.
It's the real you.
That's right. Yeah, point taken. It's I say it's like being at the top of the mountain. I can't live there all the time at the moment, but I'm very excited when I get to go there and come back. Every time.
I sort of see it as we all have within us some people call it a fountain or a well of living water.
Yeah.
And this living water is love, peace, joy, faith.
Right.
And it's wonderful. And it's continually overflowing. You know, my cup runneth over.
Right.
As they say in the Bible.
Right.
And it's continuous.
Sure.
Now, tapping into that, obviously,
right,
is what we need to do, really. And that's why we should focus within, always go within.
Yes.
Because that's where this is, in effect, what the Bible calls the kingdom of heaven.
Sure.
Within.
Sure. Absolutely.
Once we've found that,
yes,
that's our freedom.
Yes.
That's everything.
Yes, that's right. Well, you see, hon, because you had, your awakening integration process happen throughout your life. I mean, you kind of remind me of Anelia Benz. Do you know her?
No.
Oh, really? Well, oh, good. I get to introduce you.
Enlighten me.
Yes, it's a joy. I'm stunned and amazed, really. She had a similar experience. I mean, she was conscious before she was born. That she was spirit coming into a body. I'll send you her link after we're through here. And she did an interview with Bill Ryan, who used to be in this video project Camelot, and it was a great conversation. But basically, it was similar to your story, Kira. That she knew that she was more than a human. She knew that she was spirit. She had access to her higher self and her guides and God, all of that consciously. So, she came in like you, ready for action, my friend. Yeah.
Ready and primed. Yeah.
Right. And it's funny, hon. Just in my mind here, to bring it full circle, it's like when we started talking about the higher self and the ego, and when we're in the flow and out of the flow, and how to get back into the flow of the water of life. I've used that analogy in the kingdom of heaven, absolutely, and the inner child. We talked about Drunvalo before. Drunvalo says the way to access the higher self is through the inner child. So there has to be that willingness to be very open and vulnerable, and very emotionally available, obviously, because spirit is its own thing. It doesn't, we have to come to it or surrender to where it is. It can only come towards us, as far as, we will allow it to. Basically, the choice is within all of us. It's just not always a conscious choice. But as we practice these tools and techniques and teachings and resources, all the great things that you're sharing here, in your life and with your teaching and work and all of that, it opens a big door for more and more people. So I'm just so excited to know about all this.
Yeah, most definitely. But obviously, everything is actually a construct, Blue. As you know, the mind is a construct that allows us to interface with this 3D, 4D reality or whatever we're moving into.
Right.
Just as the body, emotional body, even the dimensions are a construct.
Sure.
So it's all designed for our exploration.
Yes.
Really, into different realities.
Yes.
I know nobody can really totally understand the workings of Source, or God, or whatever life, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But it was just an exploration, really. I feel of different levels of density.
Right.
And I've been told that really all the what people call the negative stuff, the dark ages, the dark periods that we've been through, they were really a creation to fuel a massive change. In actual fact, now there is something I need to say.
Yeah.
Massive change, not just a shift to ascension. It's far, far greater than that, Lou. There's far more involved. In fact, this was recently given to me, that the universal frequency itself is changing.
Right. No, I absolutely agree with that. My working, that was so beautifully said. In my own channeling here, my guides say, if you can grasp the big picture, you still haven't gotten there. It's beyond, our ability to really perceive it, except as we co-create it and experience it, I guess. When you experience something, then my guides say activation, integration, manifestation. So when we have a Kundalini awakening or a connection with spirit, the light activation, all these things, the first step is the activation. Then we decide what we can carry, what's real, what we can, how we can work with this, how we can share this. And then eventually we come out the other side of it and we start to share these gifts with others. That's the path I see.
Yeah.
Right?
And then we expand more and more, and as we expand, we take in more light.
Right. Yeah. So we'll come to the end here in a minute or two. This has been absolutely brilliant. Just the last thought I have here is when you say that our current goal is to be able to live in the fifth dimension. Can you help us understand why that's so important?
Well, as I said before, we have access to all the dimensional levels once we get to fifth. And obviously it's a harmonious vibration, it's the golden crystalline light. So far divorced from what we've experienced here on Earth.
Right. It puts us in the realm of all of the other higher beings that we've sort of been, from the fall from grace or fall of Atlantis or however you want to say it, energetically in quarantine away from because we've been in the lower vibrations.
Well, we've had a frequency band placed around the Earth, Lou, to prevent us from raising our frequency, our levels. But that's changing now. We're breaching that frequency band as all these energies are being drawn down by workers such as myself and others and you. We're bringing in these higher energies, and we're lifting ourselves to new levels of expanded consciousness and awareness and new octaves of light.
Yes. When you mention Patricia Cota Robles, do you have personal experience with the threefold flame in the heart and this kind of energy?
Yeah, actually, it's interesting you touched on that.
Yeah. I get a lot of help here, Kira. Yeah.
Your guides are working very well.
Well, thank you. We want to impress. It's helpful.
Well, I actually use the threefold flame visualization to release my Kundalini. Right. And I said to you when I sent you a message about the light switch.
Yeah.
Well, it was a combination of a visualization of the three colours of the threefold flame: the pink, the love, yellow for wisdom, golden yellow for wisdom, and blue for power, energy. Yeah. Which is blue is the first ray, the first emanation of God.
Right.
And I use those three.
Right.
As a way of colour breathing into my, I was taught to use it to breathe into my heart and then down into the solar plexus continually, and then I was told to use the light switch.
Right.
Visualize it. And this, after doing this for months, activated my Kundalini, and it is an easy, safe way to to activate the Kundalini. There's no horror stories involved with that. I mean, I've read things on the internet where people have said they've had horrific experiences, but it is a more gentle, harmonious way of doing that.
Yeah. Well, I'm so happy that you share that with us, and because I've been following Patricia in her video throughout this year, and I recommend this to everyone, eraofpeace.org. And, that's what we're working with right now here at the very end of this year is working with the threefold flame and the I Am presence with great focus and deliberation. So that makes perfect sense. And again, my friend, when people have, talked about these difficult experiences with the Kundalini, for example, it's just, isn't it, like you and I were chatting about surrender and how we learn to do that and how we practice that and what that brings us earlier when we talked. If we feel, as you said, to love ourselves, to feel safe, loved, and supported, this is the way my guides put it. These are our core emotional needs. And when we will give that to ourselves, and definitely doing the inner work is giving that to yourself, then, aren't you creating a beautiful field of intention that then your spirit can just open up and pour through?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Just let me go back briefly to the bit about threefold flames.
Yeah.
That does actually begin as something as small as about 1/16 of an inch. And as we progress and evolve,
right.
The flames get higher and higher
right.
until they actually shoot out of your head and they become massive.
Wow.
But
something to look forward to.
Sorry?
Something to look forward to.
But the thing about loving yourself, again, this is what happens when we become aligned with the fifth dimensional energy. We actually do experience self-love in the real sense. Self-love, self-acceptance. And I experienced that, an amazing experience when I was writing the Book of Life, of a feeling of love for myself that I've never had before, Lou.
Yeah.
And I know I was, after the Kundalini, I was very much in love with life and everything and everyone. But this was the most terrific feeling of complete acceptance of me, everything that I am.
Right. And I'm glad you've come back to the Book of Life. And you were saying it's not in English, but there is an audible version of it that you can kind of let wash over you, or you can download it.
It's not an audio, not in the form of an audio.
Oh,
book.
okay.
I have an MP3
okay.
of me reciting parts.
I see.
So that people can get a feel of how to pronounce.
Okay.
Pronounce the words if you're not familiar with Mediterranean language. I think anybody that's familiar with Mediterranean language will probably find it very easy to read.
Right. Do you know my friend online here? Another one to introduce you to, Guilherme Bastos from Portugal.
No.
Well, I'll have to put the two of you together because he's doing his language of light, both in visual art, which is really beautiful, and with his toning and chanting and singing. And he's another one who's really describing enlightenment very vividly and beautifully as well. So you two would have a lot to connect about. It also reminds me, Kira, of the Keys of Enoch.
Oh, right. Yes.
J.J. Hurtak.
Yeah, very interesting.
Okay.
No,
that's good. I just wanted to see what you would say. Just bring that title to you, and you're like,
I don't have a copy of it. My friend, who I was telling you about earlier, Ruth, has a copy, the one with the galactic guys.
Yeah.
Interesting that there were parts in it which tell us about what the Elohim have planned for us, and they were also interesting that it's written in a similar way to the Book of Life, in that it's in columns. Now, it's funny that the Bible, the Christian Bible, is in columns.
Right.
The Book of Life is in columns, and the Keys of Enoch is in columns as well.
Right.
But you see, all these books actually come from all our sacred texts, because this is what they are.
Yeah.
Come from the Alpha Channel, through the Alpha Channel.
The Alpha Channel. Can you? Do you mean God or?
Well, call this, I suppose,
Yeah.
Soul Logos.
Okay.
Even the Emerald Tablets.
Well, that was the next thing out of my mouth, my dear.
That also came
Right.
from the Alpha Channel.
The Emerald Tablets by Thoth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the only thing is, though, I probably would give an exception to the Keys of Enoch, but the majority of books, sacred texts on this earth, are being corrupted
Sure.
some way
Sure.
by other people's agendas, really,
Sure.
unfortunately.
Sure.
Even Thoth himself.
Right.
Sorry, Thoth.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I do know that he had his own agenda, bless him.
Okay.
But anyway, I can tell you now that the Book of Life has not been corrupted
Right.
because it was kept in, as I said to you before, in the hyperspace vaults
Yeah.
to keep it safe, and it's only come through via myself in 2014.
Sure. Sure.
See, that I was visited by the Alpha team
Okay.
who represent the Alpha Channel.
Okay.
Now, Alpha team actually, amusingly,
Yes.
reside in the 10th dimensional galaxy of Thoth,
Okay.
which actually exists on the other side of Mars, I've been told.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. I mean, I relate to the idea that, this is again from my guides, that every planet and every star and every star system is a gateway to other realities.
Most definitely.
Yeah, yeah. So what we perceive materially in the third dimension is, is a whole different story in the fifth dimension and above, like you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Right, right.
But to say, once we get to the fifth dimensional level of harmony and peace and love,
Right.
unconditional love, then, everything springs from there, doesn't it, really?
Sure, sure, sure.
That's why I say it seems to me to be a major point, because when you compare it with what we have experienced here,
Mhm.
there is no comparison at all.
Right. Well, this is connected to that, Kira. I'm just going to keep chatting away here because you're just too much fun. You tell me when you've had enough, my dear.
I'm fine at the moment.
Okay, all right. This is like.
See, in a way,
yeah.
I perceive that people, once they've shifted into the gold crystalline light, will be very much like we've experienced with the Kundalini activation.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've experienced that feeling of peace, that harmony,
Yeah.
that evenness,
Yeah.
balance, total balance, emotional balance.
Yeah.
By the way, there is something I would like to mention to anybody who is having issues
Please.
with their emotional body, is something I discovered, which you couldn't request, that your emotional body be fully anchored into your higher self.
You can request that. You can ask for that,
Yes,
of course.
yeah.
Wow.
That also helps to detach any unhealthy attachments that you might have. If you have any unhealthy
Yeah.
relationships that aren't serving you,
Yeah.
or any addictions, shall we say,
Sure.
whether that's an addiction with a person, a drug,
Sure. Sure.
whatever.
Sure.
If you ask for your emotional body to be anchored, fully anchored into the higher self, then it will resolve that.
That's beautiful to know. That's gorgeous to know. That's a life changer right there. The only last thing I was going to ask you here is there are all these discoveries happening all over the world now of ancient civilizations and sacred sites and pyramids, in the Antarctic and the Hollow Earth and all sorts of things. Do you have any thoughts about how different the world is? Is this part of? I think this is part of us coming through this gateway of dimensions. Do you relate to that?
Well, I think as we lift our vibration, then more things become visible to us, don't they?
Yeah.
We are. It's inevitable, Lou, that we're going to discover things as we lift our vibration.
Right.
One of my gateway activators has just visited the Bosnian pyramids,
Right.
which I didn't know existed, but I actually briefly saw a program on the television about them.
Right.
And
they're huge.
She said they're amazing.
Yeah.
Images.
Yeah. Yes, and there's Göbekli Tepe in Turkey.
Yes, there is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Forgot the guy's name now. Who climbed the Giza pyramid with his partner? Graham.
Oh, Graham Hancock.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Graham. He's one of my heroes. Yes. Well, fantastic information and energy. So tell people where they can find you again.
Right, I do have actually 4 websites at the moment, but my main website is Kira, KI-RA.net.
Okay. And you're also
so
on...
you can put www. or https
Right.
:/ in front of it. My next website is actually for my activators, my gateway activators, which is ascensionlight.org.
Right.
That's ascension-light.org.
Right. Good.
My next, my recent website is actually for the gateway systems. I decided that they did deserve an actual website for themselves, so it's gateway systems, all one word, .org, O-R-G.
Okay. And you're on Facebook, of course.
Yeah, I've got the activators in a directory within the Ascension Light website and the Gateway website, so they all have their own individual page promoting themselves and telling you what they do, what work they do,
so these
what
are,
their passions are.
Right, these are people that you've worked with who you have helped you step into their power as activators.
Yeah, I've empowered them to transmit the Gateway because at present I'm the only person that can download anyone with the Gateway system.
Okay, very good.
There isn't anyone else who can do that on Earth.
Right. And
I'm told.
Okay. And what was December 11th? You mentioned that before. Your next
that's
meditation?
The next Gateway event, which is a free remote transmission by the activators. We all collectively get together remotely. We link energies and we transmit the Gateway energies out to people. So anyone in the world who wants to tune in, just tune in. We transmit at 9 p.m. UK time. It's usually on the 11th of each month, but if it falls on the weekend or bank holiday, we do it on the 13th.
Okay. Yes.
So,
Well.
but I always put the link. I always create it within Facebook, put the link out, and share the link with people.
Great.
So yeah, you can tune in. Just ask to receive the Gateway. That's all you do, and then just relax and let yourself receive. Allow yourself to receive it. If you can't tune in at that time, obviously I appreciate that people live in different time zones.
Sure.
So if you want to transmit, if you want to actually connect with it later, you can do that, as I've mentioned before, because it's multidimensional.
Right.
You can just sit down whenever you've got time and ask to receive it.
Okay.
Yeah. Or you could even join the Friends of the Gateway Facebook group, which is a public group for anybody.
Okay.
You can get access to all of us there and what we're doing. And
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, thank you from the bottom of my heart. It's a joy to get to know you and connect with you and to get to share you with my little group here.
There's just one thing.
Yeah.
I forgot to mention the very last website is new work that's come through, matrixrecalibration.com.
Okay.
And I've discovered after yet another upgrade by the spiritual hierarchy that I can actually see the matrix of everyone's hologram individually. So every part of our hologram has its own unique matrix, and this is made of a series of numbers, of codes.
Okay.
I can see the codes, and I can alter them and reset them back to the original blueprint code.
Wonderful.
So that means whatever is wrong with your body could be completely reset back to what it should be, to its healthy pattern.
Wow.
And it also means that things like the C word, right, that has anything that exists in the physical has its own matrix. That can actually be deleted.
Right. Brilliant.
It's very exciting work. I've been told it's going to be very big. So.
Yeah. I'm sure that's true, my dear. And thank you again for all you're doing and all you're sharing with all of us, myself included. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome, Lou. It's great to chat with you again.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Well, we'll finish it there for the moment, and hopefully we'll talk again real soon. And I've been just filled with energy both times we've been talking today. So I think I need to go meditate for a little while on all that you've already brought to me here today. So thanks a million, my dear friend. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Lou. I'll speak to you soon.
All right, sweetheart. All the best. I'll send you a copy of the recording here.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Take care.
All right, hon. Thanks again.
God bless.
You too. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.